When it comes to design, type can play a significant part. When considering type for your logo design, there will be a variety of approaches you can take, which will determine the nature and direction of your logo design. In a previous episode, I discussed considering type for your design, where I outlined the options we have as designers when working with type for our logo design and discussed these in depth. Now, as I mentioned earlier in a previous video, one of the fundamental principles of good logo design is timelessness. If we are going to use type, then we need to think about how this may work in 5 or 10 years' time. A good logo design can remain constant, but broader brand components like color and typography can change. Now, it's not uncommon for brands to change elements like color and typography they use. So when using type in a logo design, one thing we will need to consider is, how is a logo going to work as part of a brand that could change in future? In this video, we are going to think more practically about using type, where I'll discuss some important things we will need to keep in mind when using type as part of our logo design. So let's get into it. So when it comes to using type for logo design, there are a variety of ways you can approach this. If the design is intended to be just a logo mark, then it may not even include type. However, it's very common for logos to include both a logo mark and a logo type element. You may even decide to create a logo where there is no logo mark element at all and only type, such as in a logo mark, letter mark, or monogram. Whatever approach you take, if you decide to include type, you will need to consider 3 important aspects. Are you crafting type exclusively for a logo? Will you use pre-designed typefaces, or will you customize a pre-designed typeface? Now, it's important to consider these questions because the answers will determine the course you take when using and choosing type for your logo design. So let's take a closer look at each question and the course of action you may take for each. So the first question is, are you crafting type exclusively for a logo? Now, depending on a project and the design of a project, some designers will choose to craft a type element from scratch. Sometimes there may not be a typeface a designer can find that can adequately suit their design and vision, or maybe they just have a completely customized composition in mind. If this is the case, a designer may choose to draw the letter forms themselves and craft them in vector programs like Illustrator or Affinity Designer. If a designer wants to create something completely unique and bespoke, then it is common for one to craft their own logo type element. So if you choose to develop bespoke type for your logo design, no further consideration will need to be taken regarding type. You can simply focus on crafting the logo type how you see fit. Now, a benefit to fully customized type is it will not be linked to any particular typeface that may be used as part of a broader brand execution. As mentioned earlier, brands change over the years, and it's common for brands to reconsider their brand typefaces, color, and so on. Customized type in a logo design can help make it timeless. It will always be unique and independent of any broader brand refresh. Logos like Disney, CNN, Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, General Electric, V&A, and London Symphony Orchestra all have customized type, which have remained consistent for decades, independent of broader brand changes and refreshes. Now, another aspect to consider is, will you use a pre-designed typeface? Now, crafting bespoke letter forms can take a lot of skill and can take a lot of time. If time is a factor, then it may be more practical to consider a pre-designed typeface. Now, it's very common for logos to use pre-designed typefaces to accompany logo mark elements or even create a standalone wordmark logo. Today, there are thousands of quality typefaces available in multiple styles you can consider for your logo design. If you choose to use a pre-designed typeface for your logo design, you will need to consider type carefully to appropriately reflect the values and qualities of the company, business, or product it needs to represent. And this can be tricky because there are so many typefaces to choose from. Also, when using pre-designed typefaces, do keep in mind how this may work in 5 or 10 years' time. Today, we are seeing a trend of simplicity, where a lot of well-known brands are simplifying what used to be quite distinct designs into more minimal executions. Let's take Spotify, Airbnb, Google, Facebook, eBay, and Pinterest. Some of these have become more minimal to fall in line with a more neutral approach. Now, there is nothing wrong in using a pre-designed typeface, but just keep in mind how this may be used as part of a broader brand execution. Now, another aspect to consider is, will you customize a pre-designed typeface? As mentioned earlier, a benefit to fully bespoke type is it will not be linked to any particular type that may be used as part of a broader brand execution. Bespoke type in a logo design can help make it timeless. When designing a logo, one may find a typeface that is right for a design but may choose to customize it slightly. This allows a designer to further craft a typeface to make it more ownable, make it more unique, and make it more bespoke and more appropriate for the design. Now, this can be a really good approach to make the type you use in your logo design more unique, which can help to make it more timeless and independent from any broader brand refresh. So when working with type in your logo design, it helps to consider these three aspects, as your choices will influence how you ultimately use type in your logo design. For my particular approach, I'm going to consider using a pre-designed typeface, which has already been well crafted to match my initial scamp design. However, I'll also attempt to put a unique twist on it, so it can still remain independent should there be any changes or brand refreshes in future. So if you choose to use a pre-designed typeface for your logo design and are thinking about maybe customizing it, we will then need to undertake a few tasks to research and decide on a perfect typeface. So here I am with my design process checklist. If we decide not to develop customized type and look to use a pre-designed typeface, we can now move into step 2 in phase 3 and undertake the following tasks. Task 1, research typefaces. Task 2, build typeface collections. Task 3, edit, examine and decide. And task 4, customize the typeface. In the next video, we're going to look at task 1, 2 and 3, where I will demonstrate how I research typefaces and decide on the right one for my design. So see you in the next video.